Morning, gang. And that is a coffee, the first of many that I need to wake myself up this morning, because what happened this weekend? It was Roof, baby. And it was an incredible Roof as well. The whole hashtag build up to this year's Roof of Africa was Charon Moore and the Live Lesotho crew taking it over and making Roof great again. That was their goal, and believe me, they achieved it plus that. We had a massive entry of bronze, silver, and gold races going out there, and they did bring it back old school. The whole weekend started down on the streets of Maseru. We went old school, round the houses racing, where the guys really get to go up close and personal around the streets of Maseru. Then after that, it was a nice little split, and I kind of liked how this worked. I wasn't sure if it was going to work, but it did. After around the houses, the bronze and silvers went out to Thaba Basuku, which is about 40 minutes out of town, and they did their 35k time trial to decide their running order going into day one in the mountains. That worked out really cool, and it gave us some key riders to watch out for. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Then the gold riders went up to the Maseru Mall and did an enduro cross. Really cool, really tight international spec track that Patrick Moore and his crew put together, and it was an absolute perler. That gave us all of our 44 gold entries going out there, and also decided what their starting order was going to be. At the enduro cross, it was Wade Young that went fastest in the qualifiers, as Flanny was on his wheel. Scotty B. The big story was that Graham Jarvis was really battling for form in the early running, but throughout the heat races, he seemed to come to life, get his form going, and get going. At the end though, at the pro main gate, it was all about Wade Young hammering the nail, literally lapping all the way up to the number 2 spot. Jarvis recovered nicely in the main event to get a second place, and Flanny in a number 3. Oh, I want to remind you guys, back on the streets of Maseru for the round the houses, Scotty B went fastest there, so he got a nice little paycheck out of that. But that was everyone going out and closing things out on the first day of the events. Then the second day in the mountains, it was all about the gold getting out there. And let me just cut to the chase. Wade hammered the nail. The story of that day was it was over 7 hours of racing, 180 kilometers in the mountains for the gold, and come the end of that, a 23-minute gap at the end of day number 1. That's one of the biggest gaps we have ever seen at that marker of the Motul Roof of Africa. Second place was a massive push, as we saw Flanny and Scotty B coming through there. It's actually Scotty B that rolled wheel first, Flanny on his wheel, and Jarvis was outside of the top 3. We had a lot of other key players out there. Slayer was running good numbers, Matty Green was running good numbers, and Lloyd Kirk, unfortunately, after qualifying so well, bowed out, unfortunately getting a pickup of a stomach virus, and that often happens to these top athletes around about roof time. So he was going to be a no-show. A couple of riders had their little crashes in the flatland sections, but for the majority, most riders did finish the end of day number 1. Incredibly enough, day 1 in the mountains gave us a 98% finish rate for our bronze. We only lost around about 5 guys off silver and 5 guys off the gold as well. So the final day in the mountains was going to be a massive gate and a big decider. Cool weather as well. It did look like it was going to be a wet one, but this time out, the mountain gods shone on us. Cloudy, overcast conditions on day 1 and day 2, and then the final day, everyone had their short pants out. So it was really cool racing. That was going to be a sufferfest though for our gold racers, as they literally hit every pass they could. Altus de Wet and Charon Moore outdid themselves as far as a course goes. Spectatorship value, it was absolutely perler. Going out on the final day then with a 23-minute buffer, Wade knew nothing else but flat out and hammer down. He didn't lift off the throttle the whole way through the event, and even though Jarvis came through to get a very good finish going on the final day, second place, and actually won the final day, it wasn't enough to pull back the advantage that Wade had. Not just that, the advantage that the rest of the South Africans had as well, because Scott Burberry, a 2-time podium placer at the Roof of Africa, arrived once again. Scotty B takes a number 2 spot, and an amazing ride as well to get himself up there. And Flanagan did just enough, and I mean that, just enough to get his second ever podium. That's 2 third places back to back. He only beat Jarvis after 3 days of racing at the Motul Roof of Africa by 2 seconds. So for the first time since he came and raced at the Motul Roof of Africa, Jarvis does not make the podium. I think he will be the first to agree that South African riders have really stepped up their game over the last couple of seasons, and now we've gone back to back. 2018 was a South African lockout, 2019 another South African lockout of the Motul Roof of Africa. That is the official sign-off for the 2019 season as far as racing goes. all riders can pack up their bags and start chilling and shopping for their new machines. As far as Hollywood Hills goes, we've got one more closeout episode that's going to be in 1 week's time, and that's our final sign-off. High five and look forward to 2020. That will be the final mic drop, but for now, I had a great time up there. Everyone I spoke to had a great time up there. I hope you guys enjoyed the shows that were coming out on social media, as well as my report back here from Hollywood Hills. That was Roof 2019, and it is Wade Young that is now 5 times a champion, chasing after Alfie Cox's 8 wins on the bounce.